For today's picture, we have our friend the Lamplighter, who the little prince meets on a very tiny planet. In fact, his planet is so tiny that we hear he can walk around it in just 3 steps. Poor guy, always lighting the lamp and blowing it out every minute. So here we see him using this long pole. Back in the days when street lamps were actual fire, they had to light them with long poles because nobody could just climb up or be that tall, right? Nobody was that tall. So he's got a pole with some fire at the end of it, and he's just lit this lantern here. So it must have just turned nighttime. You can see a couple things here. You've got a nice sun setting over here on this side that's out of red, and some orange stars. Now this one, usually we do our planets and asteroids in brown, but today we've done it in purple, or today I've done it in purple, and you're about to. Just makes it look a little more nighttime-ish, right? A little more peaceful. We can see a couple things here about the shadow. We've got some dark shadow on this side, right? Because it's on the other side of the sun. The sun's coming and lighting up this side, but this side is in shadow. Sun's light's not reaching it over here. So that means that it's a little lighter over here, right? We'll see how that works, coloring that. I'll get my clean sheet of paper here. And I'm going to start with purple for our asteroid. Now remember, it's going to be very small. We don't want to take up our whole paper. Make sure, first of all, your paper is in portrait, not landscape. Make sure it's standing up nice and tall so we've got room for our lamppost. I'm going to start with a very light line. And I'll put it, again, in the bottom half of the picture. And about right in the middle. Very light line, because we don't want a purple line through his pant legs. It's about that big. It's pretty small. And we'll darken that later. But for now, let's go ahead and use our brown. We'll color our lamplighter first. He's going to be standing up pretty much right at the top. Oh, for our lamplighter to start, we need to start with his head, right? We're going to start with orange. Silly me. Go up a little bit. Don't want to go all the way to the top. You can't be that tall. We'll go about this big. It's going to be a fairly small person. I'll start with his head about that size. I can give him a neck. All right, now we're going to go to our brown. We'll start with our box here for his top half, his chest and his stomach. This box is going to be a little more like a rectangle, less of a square, right? Grown-ups are a little taller, a little more stretched out than children are. So let's color that in. Okay, and then we'll give him his pants. Bring this line down. One long leg. Now this one, I'm going to bend it a little bit to show that he's standing on a curve. You see that? See, this is his knee right here. See how that one's bent? Oops. Ooh. That's okay. I messed up that line. That's okay. Now he's got sort of one fat leg. That's okay. I'll color those pants in. All right. Now this one is doing something different with his arms, right? Usually we draw people with their arms down at their sides. But this one has this arm in front of him, and this arm is going off to the side. So let's start with the one in front of him first. I'm going to start up at his shoulder. That's where your arm starts, right? Start up at his shoulder, and I'm just going to draw it pretty much just straight in front of him. Just a straight line going down right to the front middle of him. See that? I'm using a real dark line so it stands out from the light body that I drew. Now this one I'm going to do in 2 straight lines. It's going to go 1 straight line, 2 straight lines off to the side. Watch this. 1 straight line, 2 straight lines. We'll make it a little thicker. Nobody's arm is that skinny. Okay, there we go. Not too bad. I forgot, I'll give him his shoes. Just 2 little ovals. Oops. All right. Now I'm going to use my black. First thing I'm going to do with it is draw his hair. Remember, I'm going to start with a curved line tracing the top of his head. And then do some up and down lines to make it look more like hair. There we go. And now let's add that pole that he's holding. It's going to be a straight line going right across his hands. If you want to draw it lightly the first time, that might be a good idea. There we go. Okay. Now what do we need? We need our lantern, right? I'm going to draw another long straight line starting on this purple asteroid here and going straight up, almost touching the top of his pole, but not quite. You see? I might even make it a little longer so it looks nice and tall. All right, there's our straight line. Now we need our actual lantern, right? I'm just going to draw a rectangle for that. So 1 line across, 2 long lines up, and another line across the top. And I'll just give this a triangle on top. See that? 1, 2, 3 corners. I can color that in. I'm going to draw a tiny, tiny little straight line inside the lantern that shows where the wick is, the wick of the candle that's up there. Okay, I think that's all we need our black for. So we'll go ahead and put that away. And now I'm going to use my purple. So like I said, let's firm up these lines out here. Make this line nice and dark now that we've got everything in place. I'm just tracing around those lines that I already had. I'm going to turn my paper. You don't have to turn yours, but I find that it helps me draw better curves. There we go. Now remember, the sun is over here, so that means the shadow is going to be over here. So let's start with that. I'm going to draw a bunch of dark curved lines just going back and forth over on this side. Whoops, that's okay. See, I lost control of my crayon down here. That's okay. Dark curved lines. Excellent. I'll do some more over here, just following this curve. Just following the shapes that I already have. Okay. And I am just going to leave this part actually white. You see how I did that on here? I left this tiny part in the middle white. It's dark purple, light purple, and then white. So might bring that up just a little bit more. Maybe just to the base of the lantern. And then under that, I'm going to leave it white. I'm also going to give my lantern, my lamplighter, a shadow. So I'll start under his feet. I'm going to draw lines under his feet, between his legs. And if the light's over here, which way is his shadow going to go? Is it going to go towards the light? The shadows go away from the light. So I'm just going to draw a couple lines back and forth and bring his shadow down to meet this shadow here. See how that happens? His shadow joins with the planet's shadow. And they just turn into one big shadow. Okay. also, in this example picture, I also used my purple to add some shadow to his clothing. I didn't add shadow on the front of him, right, because the sun's there, but I added some on the back and between his legs. So we can go ahead and do that. I'm going to add a line on each side of his arm, just tracing these lines I've already got. And the back of him, back of his pants. I'll do it between his legs. There we go. That's pretty much all we need to do there. So I can put my purple away. And now I'm going to do my fire. Let's take our orange again. I'm just going to add some curved lines. See that? I didn't even draw really anything. I just did a little curved line. In our lantern. And another one. Some more curved lines on his pole there. I'm going to add a little bit of red to it. Make it look like fire. All of our hot colors together make things look very warm and bright. All right, ooh, sorry. Keep your red. Guess what we're going to do next? We're going to finally add that sun. Now, here you can see the sun is starting to set, right? We don't see the whole circle. We only see about half of it. We only see a curved line. So let's add that curved line. It's on this side, right? This side of the lantern. I'm going to start with the top part. Curve it down. Bring it back in. See that? I'll just color it in. Now I'm going to add some straight lines here. We don't usually draw lines around the sun, but in this picture we're going to. So I'm going to start with a straight line here, and here, and just, whoops, paper's starting to run away. I'm just going to draw some straight lines going straight out from the sun. Make them nice and dark. These clean, dark lines. I might even add one down here, another one. There we go. I think that's all we need to do with our red. So we can put that away now. And let's do our stars. But before we do that, also, I forgot. I'm gonna just color in the inside of this lantern just a little bit, very lightly. There we go. That way it doesn't look white. That would be weird, right? Lanterns aren't white inside. I'll do a couple of stars. There's one there. And I'm going to do another one basically right over his head. Do that one, a little one. And two more, I think, up here. One, two, and last one, I'm going to do one star down on this corner. There we go. All that I have left to do is color in my sky. So I need my blue. Oh, although I just realized in the example picture I only used blue, but we said he just lit this, right? So maybe it's nighttime. Maybe on top of our blue we had a little bit of purple. Maybe not. We'll see. See how it looks when we get there. Being very careful around these stars and around his head especially. I don't want any blue lines through his head. Are you using the side of your crayon? Remember, don't use the point for the sky. Use the side of your crayon. That way it comes off looking almost like a block crayon. See, I've got it almost even lined down. All right, what do we think? I might add just a little bit of purple. If you think your sky is done, then you could be done. But I'm going to add a little bit of purple over this. Make it look a little bit more like nighttime, right? You don't light a lamp in the daytime. How's your sky looking? Almost there. Sounds like being this lamplighter would be really exhausting to do this every minute. Can't even sleep. But it sure looks pretty, doesn't it? Nice work.